A very good morning to all. Today we are moving to a new topic that is about functions of a leaf and modifications of the leaf. In the last class we discussed about leaves and the structure of a leaf. So moving to today's topic, first let's discuss about the functions of a leaf. So the leaf performs different functions. Do you know which is the important function that is performed by a leaf? That is preparation of food. The leaf prepares food for the plant. And what do we call that process? That process is called as the photosynthesis. So the important function of a leaf is to prepare food for the plant. So why does leaves look green in color? Why? That is because it contains a green pigment that is called chlorophyll. So have you all heard of the term chlorophyll? So chlorophyll is a green pigment that is present in the leaf that makes the leaf appear green. So that is why leaves appears green in color. The leaf prepares food by using water and carbon dioxide in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. That process we call it as photosynthesis. Okay, the plant uses sunlight, water and carbon dioxide to prepare food in the form of sugar. So the food prepared by the leaf is in the form of sugar. So as you can see in this picture, the plant uses carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, and they produce food in the form of sugar. And oxygen is also produced during photosynthesis. That is another important thing. During photosynthesis, oxygen is also produced and it is released into air through stomata. So you all know what is a stomata. What is a stomata? It is the tiny holes that is present in the leaf. The air enters through this stomata. Even the oxygen is released into air through this tiny pores that is present in the leaf, that is called the stomata. So the most important function of a leaf is to prepare food, and that process we call it as photosynthesis. The plant uses sunlight, water and carbon dioxide to produce food in the form of sugar, and that process, what do we call? That process is known as photosynthesis. Plant uses carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll and produce food in the form of sugar. And also oxygen is released into air, which is produced during photosynthesis. So that is the main function of a leaf. So the food is prepared by the leaf. And how this food gets transported to all parts of the plant? So we have learnt about the two connecting tubes. So do you all remember which are they? That is the xylem and phloem. So what is the function of xylem? It carries water that is absorbed by the root to all parts of the plant. And what about phloem? It carries the food that is prepared by the leaf to all parts of the plant. So here it is the phloem that carries the food that is prepared by the leaf and it transports to all parts of the plant. So we know that plants prepare food by themselves, and some of the food is used by them to live. And what about the excess amount of food? The excess amount of food is converted into starch. It is converted into starch and it is stored in different parts of a plant. So we know that plants have different parts: root, stem, leaves, flowers. So, the excess amount of food that is converted into starch, it is stored in different parts of a plant. And we eat the different parts of a plant. So, that is about the main function of a leaf, that is photosynthesis. Moving to the next one, that is transpiration. It is also another function of a leaf. So, what is transpiration? Transpiration is a process by which the plants release excess amount of water in the form of vapor through stomata. That process is called as transpiration. So, plants lose water through their leaves. And do plants need water to live? Yes, plants need water to live. They need water to prepare food. And what about the excess amount of water? So, this excess amount of water is released in the form of vapor through the stomata. Stomata means the tiny pores that is present in the leaf. And that process is known as transpiration. So, as you can see this picture here, water absorbed by roots. So, we learnt about the two connecting tubes, and we know xylem is the connecting tube that carries water that is absorbed by the root to all parts of the plant. So, water absorbed by the roots. So, the xylem, it carries the water to all parts of the plant. So, the plant uses water to prepare food. And what about the excess amount of water? It is released in the form of vapor through stomata. So, that process we call it as transpiration. During water shortage, what happens? The plants close their stomata so that they do not lose water. So, this is the process called transpiration. Moving to the next topic, that is modifications of the leaf. So, we know that the leaves that perform additional functions are said to be modified. So, let's discuss about the modifications of the leaf. The first is leaves modified to store food. So, we learnt that the excess amount of food is stored in different parts of a plant. There are plants whose leaves are modified to store extra food. So, let's take the example of onion plant. So, this onion plant has leaves that are modified to store extra food. So, the excess amount of food gets stored in the underground leaf, which become thick and fleshy. So, the leaves of an onion plant is modified to store food. So, that is about the modification of a leaf which is modified to store food. The next is leaves modified to reduce loss of water. Which plant is this? It is the cactus plant. So, where do this plant grow? It grows in desert. So, desert is a place where water is very scarce. So, do cactus plant have leaves? No. Their leaves are modified into spines. So, we know that the leaves constantly lose water. What about a cactus plant? Can a cactus plant afford to lose water? No. The cactus plant cannot afford to lose water because it grows in a desert where the water is scarce. So, its leaves are modified into spines that prevent the loss of water. So, this modification of leaf helps the cactus plant to survive in desert. So, the leaves are modified to reduce loss of water. An example is cactus plant. The another thing is this modification, that is leaves modified into spines, it protects the cactus plant from being eaten by animals. So, we know that there are animals that eat plants. So, this modification helps the plant from being eaten by other animals. So, that is about leaves that are modified to prevent loss of water. The next modification is Leaves modified to provide additional support. Let's take the example of a pea plant. So the stem of a pea plant, it is very thin and weak, so that this plant needs an additional support to grow. So the leaf of this plant are modified into leaf tendrils. So this leaf tendrils coil around a support to keep the plant grow straight. So that is the other modification of a leaf that gives additional support. The next modification is leaves modified to trap insects. So plants that feed on insects, we call it as insectivorous plants or carnivorous plants. So these plants have leaves that are modified to trap insects. Let's take the example of a pitcher plant. So in the pitcher plant, the leaf is like a pitcher, that is a pod-like structure, which is having nectar. So we know that nectar attracts insects. So when an insect enters inside this pitcher and when it touches the hair-like structure that is present in the pitcher, and the hair-like structure on being disturbed, what happens? It closes the pitcher by lowering the flap. If you take page number 86 in your textbook, you can see the flap open and flap closed. So the hair-like structure on getting disturbed, it closes the pitcher by closing the flap. So what happens when the flap gets closed? What happens to the insect? The insect gets trapped inside the pitcher and the plant digests the trapped insect. So here the leaves are modified to trap insect. Let me give you another example, that is Venus flytrap. As you can see this picture, it has spines on it. When an insect enters inside it, it closes, and what happens to the insect? It gets trapped inside it. You can clearly understand from the picture, the insect got trapped inside it. The leaves have spines on it, and when the insect enters inside it and when it closes, it gets trapped inside it. So that is another example. So these are the two examples for leaves that are modified to trap insects. So I hope these topics that we have discussed today was clear to you. You can go through page number 84, 85 and 86 in your textbook. Read and understand what we have discussed today. So you have an activity in page number 91, that is the activity zone. So what you need to do here is, you have to collect different types of leaves that have fallen, and then you have to note down their shape, size, color, margin. Margin means the edge of the leaf. Then you have to find the arrangement of the leaf. Then you have to write down your observation in the table given below. So I hope this class was clear to you. We'll meet in the next class and discuss a new topic. Till then, thank you.